You are listening to the Retina UK Talking Creative Arts Peer Support Group meeting recorded Thursday, the 28th of August 2025.
Good evening, everyone. My name's Steve Cox, and I'm here helping Mark with this latest peer group, which is the Creative Arts Peer Group. This is our second meeting. A few weeks ago, Mark and me were talking about what to do for our second meeting, and I suggested that we try and find someone from the pottery world to give us a talk on the different things that can be done. I've been inspired by a TV program called the Great British Pottery Throwdown, in which they have sighted pottery workers there. But one of the challenges that they do is blindfolding them and getting them to throw a pot on the wheel completely blindfolded, which they seem to do quite successfully. Now, I thought to myself, well, if a sighted person that's been suddenly blindfolded can do it, then surely we can. And I suggested this to Mark, and he went away and he's found this wonderful studio in London that caters for people not only with eyesight problems, but all sorts of disabilities. The pottery is called Colouring Clay, and we're going to hear from their founder member, Vinicius Les. I hope I pronounced that right. And he will give us a talk about what they can do and what they can offer. Over to you, sir.
Hi, everybody. I hope you can all hear me. There's a bit of a background noise here. I'm in the car, just near terrace. So sorry for any background noise that might overtake it, some motorbikes passing by or anything like that. My name is Vinicius Les, and together with my wife Elise, whose name appears on my Zoom profile because I'm using her phone. My phone, for some reason, doesn't. The mobile data does not work on it. We're abroad at the moment. We founded Color and Clay, and we're both artists. We both studied art. I come from an art background. My father is an artist. He's a painter and a ceramicist or a ceramic sculptor. I studied fine arts painting. I studied ceramics in high school. I'm originally from northern Transylvania, which is in Romania. I'm making the delineation because Romania is it's a country, fairly new country, 100 and something years old, and Transylvania was part of the Austro-Hungarian Empire, so it's a bit different than the other part, and this is its beauty. It's very diverse. So I come from northern Transylvania. My father has learned pottery from I think it was his adulthood or young adult as a young adult, and he's learned it in a very unusual way. Usually you learn pottery by doing it, but he's learned it by just turning the wheel, spinning the wheel for his master, which might have been quite difficult because pottery is something really tactile. A few years later, or quite a few years later, I'm one of five, the fourth of five. We're three boys and two girls, and my dad saw it as his duty to pass on the skill. He said, "This is a skill. This is what I can pass on to you. This is my responsibility, and then you do whatever you want with it. If you choose not to use it in the future, that's completely your decision, but at the moment, this is what you have to do." And I learned it through play, mostly from an early age, from around 6. And I never liked it at that age, or even when I was slightly older, like a teenager. I always wanted to be outside playing with my friends, playing football or anything like that, but never wanted to work on the potter's wheel or do ceramics or work with clay. Just there's a certain feel to it when it starts drying on your hands, which I now got used to, but back then it was quite dreadful for for my tactile senses. So pottery, it's a skill, it's a craft. Anyone can learn it. And together with my wife, like I was saying, we founded Color and Clay, a pottery studio. After the lockdown or during lockdown, we thought about it. In the previous years, since 2011, I was working with various organizations for catering for young adults and people with learning disabilities or learning difficulties. We moved to London from Romania in 2011, and then in 2012 I started working as a pottery assistant. And I completely fell in love with working with adults with learning disabilities or learning difficulties or disabilities, because it was like a vast range of disabilities. And it was just amazing to see um, how they were genuine, just completely genuine, not caring about impressing people with their work, but just doing it because they felt like doing like doing it. And that just made me just carry on. And then until lockdown, I collaborated with a few organizations. And then during lockdown, because everything fell apart, relationships wise and stuff like that, I was a little bit frustrated with the commercial part of the charities that I was working for and with in collaboration with, because they were trying to justify their existence with things that are sellable, things that are, I don't know, appealing to the eye. And I was frustrated by this because I could see the service user having their own personality, and them wanting to go one way, but then despite the fact that or besides the fact that I was kind of frustrated by the way of delivering classes or the ethos behind delivering classes, not the ethos maybe, but a bit of a caveat, let's call it like that. I was the one having to convince them to go that way, the commercial way, but in a way that offered me the opportunity to help them. I had to blend things a little bit, so at least I could have a bit of control over what comes. And then, of course, I was more or less almost always told off by my manager. Why do you do it that way? Why don't you do that sort of work? Why don't you do this? And I would always kind of try to find excuses to allow the service user um, to do what they feel like doing and trying to help them progress on that path, because not everybody stays. There would be people that would come and try it out and then never return, because it's not something that everyone likes, just like we don't have to like everything. So then the ones that were interested, I was really taking a keen interest in their interests, and I would try to help them as much as I could on that side, and always learning from them, because it's a learning process. Working with people, doesn't matter what their background is always a learning curve. And then during lockdown, I said that if things come back to a normal that we all know, then I don't want to have to do that again, and then be always in kind of arguments with my manager. So I must do it myself. It was a bit of a scary kind of undertaking, because the logistics behind it, ceramics, when you just do it, is fine and it's fun. But when you have to prepare it and kind of make a structure out of it and a business that people can use, then there's lots to it. And London, space in London is premium, like we all know. So we decided to do it however we can. So we found a studio. It was quite good. It was designed for artists. It was a bit on the narrow side because it was mostly designed for, I don't know, designers or painters. But then another unit became available right next to our one, so we took part of the wall down, made it a bit wider and bigger. But in the meantime, we managed to cram lots of people in there on each side of a narrow long table, and we did our best to facilitate experiences and opportunities for people to try pottery and try clay. And we work with various local authorities to deliver courses, long-term courses and classes and experiences um, for members of the community, which are usually hardest to reach, like men, because men don't want to do much of the creative part of work. Um, Single mothers, families of children with learning disabilities or any sort of disability. Um, and I was continuously learning about how people feel it, and even though my dad learned it in a certain way, in a visual way, he always taught me in a sensory way. And he was always emphasizing the tactile feel behind it. And now when I have sighted people coming to our classes, we focus our main focus is young adults with autism mainly, but any disability that are interested in arts. We try to design and facilitate creative experiences, creative courses, and mentorship for them. And then we subsidize these courses by holding general public classes. People that just want, I'm sorry, that just want to relax after a long day in the office. Our main customers are usually people that come either from the law background or medicine or I don't know, corporate, people that don't get to do much with their hands. And um, they just want to try it out. So what I always tell them is that this is not a thing that you learn by seeing and then applying. This is not that simple. Is you have to feel it and you have to allow your body to feel. And when you work with clay on a table, then it's a bit easier because it doesn't do anything. You do it to it, and when you work on the potter's wheel, it's a completely different thing because it moves, it spins, sometimes quite fast, usually quite fast, and then our brain, I think, I always say this, but I haven't checked the fact, but I think it makes sense, has a safety mechanism implemented to keep our hands safe. So the same reflex that would pull one's hand out of a hot tap is the same reflex that kicks in when people touch the clay, even though they see it and even though they're there exactly for that precise purpose to work on the potter's wheel, they still tense up and their brain still goes into that safety mode where it makes them want to draw their hands, but because they're there for exactly the same for that reason, they do touch it, and then the brain tenses their muscles up. So it's quite fascinating how people that are not sighted, such as people in your group or sighted impaired, um, are mastering their body in a different way is what I've discovered, and we've all known this. I suppose everybody knows that a person which is visually impaired has different challenges, and different challenges usually yield different capabilities and enhanced capabilities in some areas. So what I always tell them to do is to close their eyes. Just work with their eyes shut. Make a little joke telling them that then they will be able to brag to everybody they can do pottery with their eyes shut. and everybody relaxes a bit, and they all tell me the same thing, that it worked a lot better when they closed their eyes. Now, of course, to pottery, there's a visual element as well, but that's for a trained person, a visually impaired trained person, it wouldn't be an impediment. So I think there's a car coming. There's a coach driving by. Let me just make sure. Sorry to stop suddenly. I think there's a wedding somewhere, but yeah, they seem to be all right. There is a visual element to it. Oh, back at the coach with the motor just went by, and there's another truck coming behind it. So just a minute. I apologize for that. It's really hot where we are. I'm gonna shut the windows, put the windows up, and yeah, luckily I'm in a car. At the beginning, it didn't seem like luck, but this is better. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, you
Good.
carry on.
So whether it's a person that comes to our studio that just wants to relax, or whether is one of our regular customers or one of our regular students with learning disabilities, I always emphasize the tactile sense behind it, and it's something that if you I tell them this as well, if you take away the visual element in this particular field, which I'm most used to, then the brain turns the fingertips into one's eyes. And this is something that my ceramics tutor used to say, that a ceramicist or a potter's eyes are in their fingertips. And I always encourage them to see with their fingers and see what things feel like, because as a painter I've learned a lot about the mathematics of color, but also about the textures of color. And painting is not necessarily just visual, but is also tactile, and it can be tactile as well. For example, I mean, I'm turning this upside down a little bit, but one of our tasks at some point was to represent all five senses, all the five senses that we kind of use, not the balance and all the other ones, but five senses that we most commonly use to paint them. And not represent them, such as the ear for the hearing and the hand for the touching and so on, but to paint them. So make it visual without a narrative. So then turning this up, the right side up in our context now in this meeting, painting can be not just about color. It can be about textures, and then there's lots that I could talk about when it comes to this, because I love painting. I was telling my wife when we got together that you'll have to accept that painting is my first love, but then it became second and third eventually. But I love painting, and I think the arts are not necessarily, especially nowadays, something that you should confine to one labor or another. And art is something that we live with rather than make separate from ourselves. And I don't have much experience with slightly impaired people. I'm learning as much as I can, because we have one service user in particular who is blind, mute, and deaf. So it's quite fascinating working with her, besides having a learning disability as well. So I'm constantly trying to broaden my knowledge and my field of art and pottery and ceramics. You might wonder why, just a small parenthesis, why I say pottery and ceramics is because pottery is something that makes utilitarian things, and then ceramics goes more into the sculptural thing. So they both incorporate texture. And when I pick up something, and when anyone picks up even a cup or a pot or a bowl or anything like that, they go for the feel of it. They want to see how hefty, what the heft of that object is, um, what's its texture, whether it's smooth or rough or in between. What's its it's nice when it feels cold or warm, edges, anything scratchy, anything that seems a bit at first that you wouldn't want to touch, and then it attracts you to touch it. So yeah, I would encourage anyone to work with clay. And another exercise that we do, in fact, with our customers in certain workshops is to just pick up a lump of clay and let their hands guide them without looking at what they're doing, and just trying to let the hands have a direct connection to their brain, um, and model what they are thinking of by hand alone without looking at it. And it's always tempting because when you're not supposed to do something, that's usually in our human nature. That's usually what you want to do. And I always try to tell them, look, you can look if you want. It's not a rule, but try to feel and see what your hands are doing, and what your brain is feeling with your hands, and how your body feels. Because if you allow your tactile senses to take over, then you'll find and you'll discover a new facet of yourself, at least, if not a new universe. And I would encourage anyone in your group and anyone you know to try working with clay, whether it's pottery, whether it's ceramics, whether it's I don't know, just making balls of clay for no reason, anything. And art, any type of art. um, I believe that if we're freed of the labeling part of art, then we can come up with things that are ours. And it's the hardest thing to paint like yourself, or draw like yourself, or sculpt like yourself, not like others. Because when you try to do it, then you more or less mostly find out that you're the sum of the artists you like. Um, so this is mainly what coloring clay does, and what coloring clay aims to do in the future as well. Now I mean, we're parents of two girls, and there's a lot of work there as well, and pickups and drop-offs and all sorts of things. So we tend to get overwhelmed by the logistics of the studio, but our main ethos is to work on projects exclusively for people with disabilities, no matter what the disability is. We also work with the Stanmore Royal Orthopedics through Horatius Garden Charitable Foundation. Um, and we try to offer our services to as many people that we can. We are a private studio. We're a small private studio, family run. So accessing funding, we've done it in the past, and we still do it sometimes, but is really very bureaucratic. There's a lot of paperwork there, very rigid, and it was almost always very tricky to navigate, because when you work with someone that has a challenge, then you don't tick all the boxes. You can't tick all the boxes, and then a project aims to tick for as many boxes as possible. And when that doesn't happen, you get less points, and then as a whole lot of things, which I'm sure you've encountered in the past. So we try to keep the cost to a minimum, and then we subsidize for that with our general public classes, which we also keep to a minimum, so then anyone and everyone can enjoy it, because we believe that education should be accessible and affordable without thinking like you've spent a lot of money on a pottery taster or anything like that. So yes, that's in broad lines and in a nutshell what I can say about or what color and clay does, what we try to do through color and clay. Now, if you have any questions, I'm very happy to answer. I'm a bit nervous because of the context. So I do apologize if I say or if I said anything silly or stupid or that I shouldn't have said, because sometimes it did happen in the past. I said to someone that was in a wheelchair that, oh, it's just like riding a bicycle. So
No,
I felt terrible for that. So I hope
that was
I didn't say anything.
that was absolutely amazing. That was such an inspiring presentation. So thank you very, very much for taking the time while you're on holiday to speak to our group. I really do appreciate your time. If anyone does have any questions, if you need any support unmuting, just put your hand up and we can actually support you with that. But if anyone's got any questions, please use the comments box as well. If you prefer us to read your question out, there is any questions for Vinicius, then please fire away.
Yeah, Mike's got his hand up.
So Mike, first of all, has got your hand up. Thanks for your question, Mike. Over to you.
Sorry, I forgot to get. I forgot your name, the speaker.
It's Vinicius Les.
Vinicius,
Vinicius, Vinicius. In English, it would be read Vinicius. I'm in Romania. Is Vinicius. I don't know what the Latin version of that is, because it is a Latin name.
My name is Mike Vinicius, and I'm from Liverpool. How much are your courses? Can I ask you? What you charge? How much are your courses? What you charge?
So, for example, a taster session, a 2-hour taster session is £50 per person, and we take a maximum of 6 people.
Mm-hmm.
And then the classes for learning disabilities are £35 for 2-hour session plus lunch, tea and coffee are always included, and biscuits and everything materials wise, and firing and glazing is also included. For them, for the general public classes, firing and glazing is at an extra cost of £5 to £15 a pot, depending on its size.
Yeah. What about how long does a course last? If you just do a course, would you get 10? Is it 10 weeks, 6 weeks? Or?
We have 5-week courses where we study, or we kind of have a try at all 4 main methods of making pottery, such as hand building and working on the potter's wheel, and then painting and decorating. And then we have an 8-week course where we learn and we study throwing on the potter's wheel alone, where we start with wedging the clay. So then at the end of the course, the participant is able to manage themselves in a pottery studio, knowing what tools to use, how to use them, how to keep dust under control, how to start over and over and over at the potter's wheel on their own. So they are completely independent, and they can also use the studio on their own for a charge, where I don't have to be there. So they're allowed to kind of go in the studio, because I trust that they have learned. I'm quite strict with them, washing all surfaces and cleaning tools and where tools go and how clay should be. So then at the end of the course, I'm confident that they can be in the studio without me, and they can be in any studio without me.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Question, Mike. Anything else?
Not at the moment.
No. Steve, is there anything you'd like to ask or anything like that?
Are there different types of clay that are easier for beginners to use? Because on that pottery throwdown, they've used like terracotta and stuff like that, and different clays with sort of like paper in them and different things, and some of them are easier to use than others. So is there a preference for starting off?
Well, I'll start with the one a beginner shouldn't use at first, which is porcelain. It's the most beautiful type of clay, but the most annoying type of clay as well, because it's so fussy. But then you go down from there to stoneware clay and earthenware clay and terracotta clay. And you have blends in between them as well, but it depends mostly on what the aim for that clay is, whether it's throwing, slip casting, modeling, or such things such as that. Because paper clay is quite good for not for sculpture, but kind of building things around the shape, whereas clay for sculpture, which is meant to have thicker parts, has grog in it, so it's called grogged clay, which is the grog is basically the same type of clay which has been fired to a low temperature and then ground up to a certain grain size and mixed back into the fresh clay to give it body, so that when it fires and when it cools down in the firing, it has something to hold on to, so then it doesn't crack. And it's a bit more versatile for working with sculptural shapes, whereas the clay that's designed for the potter's wheel is a much more refined clay and has all sorts of certain characteristics. More or less, clay that's designed for the potter's wheel is good for almost anything besides really thick parts such as the sculptural forms. So yeah, I would say an easy to use clay would be, depending on what you're talking about, an earthenware clay. Terracotta clay is quite sandy. It depends on the provider and the type of terracotta, but yeah, it's quite nice. It does stain a bit because it has lots of iron oxide, so I would go for a white earthenware.
Excellent.
Okay.
That's a good question, Steve. We've got a couple of questions lined up. We've got
Yep.
Sue,
Yeah, then Rita,
then
Hiya.
Rita,
and then Ian.
and then Ian, in that order. So over to you, Sue.
Hello there. It was a lovely talk you just gave. And it was
Thank
very
you.
inspiring and wonderful, the business that you've set up, and like, giving access to so many different people. It sounded absolutely lovely and very good value indeed. So today, for the first time, I went to, just by chance, a session with a potter's studio, and I made a pot on the wheel. And it was a one-to-one session, but it was absolutely lovely. And I really thought I wouldn't be able to do it, but it's so tactile, and it's so you're so in the zone, and it's just such a lovely experience and very meditative. It was lovely.
It's a bit of a dangerous hobby like that.
Sorry.
It's a bit of a dangerous hobby like that. I like
Yes,
to go.
but
Because it does
I just,
take your
it's
mind off of
something
anything.
I felt I couldn't do. I wouldn't be able to do it, but I feel I could do it. And she was such a lovely teacher and so encouraging. And I recommend it to anybody. It was a beautiful experience.
That's fantastic. I'm so
And I
glad
was
to hear
also
that people like it.
fascinated to hear what you were saying about painting, because I love painting. And now I've lost my sight, I sort of felt, well, perhaps I couldn't do that anymore. But you've inspired me that I feel I should try it again. And I wondered whether you make your paint more textured, or you sort of use it in a very impasto way, or does the scale, the size, make a difference as well?
I would say that the only problem and the only thing that's stopping us from breaking the mold is knowing that we're allowed to do so.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem is that we are a little bit unsure whether we should do it or not. And then my take would be, just do it. It doesn't matter. Let's just see what happens. So you can texture your paint up with anything from the dust in your studio or in your room or in your house or in your vacuum cleaner to sawdust to, I don't know, ground up leaves to dirt to soil, anything really, anything. Coffee grounds. They all have a different grain size and different texture and different feel to it. So, yeah.
And when you lose your sense, you can't see colour anymore. I can still get sort of light and dark, but colour isn't really there anymore. So unless you sort of use it in your mind, sort of thing.
Yes, I mean, if there is a bit of sight, then I would go for just black and white. Why not? And yellow. Because yellow, if you were to point a black and white digital camera at yellow and white, the camera would see the same thing.
Oh, thank you very much. It's lovely to speak to you.
Very welcome.
Thanks very much for your question, Sue. So we've got Rita's next question, then we've got Ian, and then we've got Amrit after that. And then we've got a question in the chat from Sharon.
And then Perm.
And then Perm. Vinicius, are you okay to take some more questions if that's okay? I don't want to keep you. Thank you very, very much.
Very
so
welcome.
over to you, Rita.
Actually, not so much a question, but I just wanted to affirm what you were saying about the fact that you can do pottery when you can't see. I went a few years ago with some other friends, and 2 of us were blind and 2 weren't, and we had a go at a potter's wheel, a one-to-one session like Sue was saying with each of us, and it was the people who could see who had the most difficulty.
Yes, yes. I no wonder, and yeah, I completely agree, and I would put my hand in fire for that.
Yeah, and I'd love to do it again. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thanks very much for your thoughts, Rita. No, I think we should all have a try. All have at least a dabble in something that we've never done or we've never done for a while, just to see, whether it relights that fire and that passion for something that we once might have lost due to the progressive nature of our sight loss conditions. So, but thanks very much, Rita. So we've got Ian next. Over to you, Ian.
Yeah, I think that's right, Mark. I think it's good to try something different. I really enjoyed that talk. I enjoy doing painting at home. I like getting stuck into different things. I've still got reasonable bit of vision, losing some colour. I'm just wondering if is there a website? I imagine the courses are very popular and get busy. I was just wondering if there was a website for booking purposes and
for our studio. For our studio, you mean?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so our studio is called Color and Clay. So the website is www.colorandclay. I'm pretty sure I'm not pronouncing color properly because I always have this problem between the color of the shirt, the color of the shirt, and then the color green or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's all about colors. So colorandclay.co.uk. That's our website. It's www.colorandclay.co.uk.
Okay.
Our Instagram is also color.and.clay. So color and clay with dots in between the words.
What we will do, Ian, is I've got all the information, the website, email address, telephone numbers, and what I will do is I'll pop this all into a follow-up email with the audio recording as well. So I'll share all of Colour and Clay information just in case you guys want to book up a taster session or a full-on course.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Mark.
No worries.
Thank you, Mark, for that.
No worries.
I'm really sorry. I'm not very techy. So I don't know how to.
With that. We can help
Thank
with
you.
that.
That's
No problem at all. Thanks very much for your question, Ian. And next one is Amrit.
Yeah, hi. Thank you for your inspiring talk. And I have a question, and I just want to reflect quickly on what you said. So I'm based in London. Where in London is your studios, please?
Our studio is in North Kensington, just behind the Latimer Road station. No one believes us that it's cheaper than anywhere else in London. But
That's
yes.
great. No, that's accessible to me. That's brilliant. So yeah, I just wanted to reflect and really relate to what you said, because I think it's so important to encourage disabled people, to be creative and have a creative outlet. Because when I was younger, I used to paint and draw, and then when I lost my sight, it all came to a sudden and abrupt end, because I think, that, I was grown up and, what's the word I'm looking for, led to believe that art is only for people that can see. It's, a very visual thing. And so for decades, I didn't, do any art or create anything, which is really frustrating, because if it's in your blood, it's really difficult. So then a few years ago, I discovered creating artwork on canvas using gemstones, tactile gemstones, and it's just opened up, that side of me again. And I think it's incredible, because in life, as a vision impaired person, as I'm sure this can appreciate, there's so many barriers and obstacles, physical and attitudinal. And when I'm doing my artwork, I feel free of that, because, there's no right or wrong, there's no barriers, no obstacles in my way. All I have is my imagination, and I can't see colours at all now, but because I have seen colours, I'm aware of the colours that I'm using, and it's really hard to explain, but it really fills me with happiness, because I can see the colours, in my mind. Yeah, so I think it's fantastic what you're doing, and the art is not visual, that anyone can do it, even though you don't have sight. Everyone can find a form of art that is right for them.
Yes, it's well. I'm glad you took art again. I mean, you took it back up, and yes, it is the society. We live in a society where everything has to be efficient. There's no place for mistake. There's no time for anything, and that's quite grinding. And it's not true. It's just a matter of just doing it, and then just letting things be sometimes. And art is something that does liberate one and helps one breathe, sort of say.
Yeah, because I think what limited me is that, for example, if I when I could see, I used to like drawing portraits. So when I couldn't, I wasn't able to, draw those outlines, of a face or eyes or lips. So I felt so limited and frustrated. But I think for me, what's opened up art is abstract art. That it can be anything. Like I said, there's no right or wrong. It's whatever comes out of your imagination and what you want to do. Yeah.
I would suggest, well, maybe yes, maybe no. It will be a bit tricky to find a model, someone to pose for you, but having a big chunk of clay and someone to pose for you, to allow you to touch them and then model them in clay, I would recommend you try it out at some point whenever you feel like you want to have a go at it. But understanding volume is fundamentally important for drawing portrait. So if you used to draw portrait, I think you would quite enjoy modeling portrait. It would be quite interesting to see your work.
Thank you.
Very well.
Thank you very much. That was very inspiring, Amrit. I really do appreciate that. That was good. Very inspiring. We've got
so Sharon's hopefully has been
so
answered.
in regards to the address of Colour and Clay, again, I will put the full address and postcode of where they are based in London, and also some directions from the nearby tube stations, just so you've got some bearings. Also, we're starting to use What Three Words now to help people navigate around the globe. So if anyone has that app, definitely worth downloading the What Three Words app, because we will start using that on more of the addresses that we actually use to help navigate around to keep us more independent and active. So I hope that answered your question, Sharon. So we will.
Perfect, thank you.
No worries. And then on to Perm. Over to you, Perm.
Hi everybody. Sorry, I was just had a mouthful of food. Sorry. My question. I have a fascination for busts and figurines and sculptures of people. Now, what I wanted to ask was, how do they get it so lifelike, and is it done to scale? And I remember some of the actual sculptures I saw at Chatsworth House many years ago, and how the clay doesn't crack.
Made of clay, you mean?
Yeah.
Firing clay is quite a tricky process. Now, when you have an electric kiln, it's a little bit easier because you have a computer. You just have to know what to tell it to do. But it all comes down to the type of clay and the temperature it goes up to, and how fast it goes to that temperature, and how fast it cools down. So these are the main 4 elements of how you get clay not to crack when firing. Yeah. So it also depends on the scale, because you do have to, if something works well of a let's say generous size in a normal kiln, then increasing the size of that changes things in the volume of how it occupies space in the kiln and how it takes the heat. So it's always a matter of trial and error. And was there something in particular?
Well, what it was, specific? I saw Michelangelo's David, and there was another one which was of Venus, and it was just so beautiful. Obviously, it was life size. So if you can imagine, if there's someone's 5'4", that half the torso, it was just amazing.
What they make in
temptation
clay,
is to touch. So yes, it was.
Okay. Then I would imagine some big kilns. There are some very big kilns. At the moment, I'm in Crete, so I visited a pottery. They make these very large pots that you see all over in Greece, in hotel gardens and flower pots, but massive ones. And I visited one of the places that make those, and the sheer size of the kiln, I would stretch my arms out and I wouldn't fill up the gap in between the walls at the opening. And this was not one of the big kilns. So it gets really hot in there. The aim is to just insulate it so well so that heat does not escape. And then a kiln is basically just a chimney, and you put the pots and the objects in the heat. So anything is possible. It's just a matter of patience sometimes.
How were the old? Sorry to interrupt you.
No, sorry.
I mean, a lot of modern methods and techniques you use. So how were the old kilns fired? What kind of was used? Was it just traditional coal or kindling?
Wood. Yeah.
And
like
wood,
I said, it's just a matter of insulating it, and it's all just a chimney. You can increase the size, and then you just feed it wood. And the Japanese Anagama kilns fire for, I don't know, a week continuously. So that's a very old type of kiln. Even the ancient prehistoric kilns, from when man invented, this is the first technology that mankind invented. They were just the same. I mean, they were developed from something that didn't work at first, or it worked somehow, and then you just kind of become better at designing it. And rest assured that behind anything successful, there's a lot of failures that are not visible. They're ground up.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you. And thank you for an excellent presentation.
Very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent question, Perm. Yeah, very clever how kilns work, you know, both modern day kilns, and I didn't realize a lot of them now are run by computers. Like everything nowadays is all run by
Yes.
technology, but it's still nice to see that a lot of the old methods are still being utilized as well, you know, to still give that authentic feel to pottery and ceramics. Just checking the time, it's coming up to 5 to 8 now. You know, but thank you so much, Vinicius, for such a wonderful presentation. It's definitely got me inspired to get hands on with clay. I'm usually more with wood and carpentry, but it's nice to broaden even my horizons, you know, to try new things with the hands. And I totally agree. Earlier in your presentation, you said seeing with your fingertips. That is definitely 110% true. We do feel with our fingertips, and it's just how we carry on creating and making all sorts of wonderful things, you know, and enjoying the things that we love doing. Steve, is there anything that you'd like to add, being as you are a welder and all sorts of other fantastic things that you do?
Yeah, well, I've still got some central vision, so I'm sort of cheating a bit. But yeah, I do use tactile sense, especially if I was putting some screws down a length of a piece of wood, I would feel the spacings with my hands rather than trying to spot where each one needed to go, stuff like that. But yeah, I'd just like to also mention that if anyone's going to conference this year, I've got a table there. I think it's in the Merton room next to the Retina UK shop stand, and I'm going to be selling off some of the stuff that I've made. All of the money that's raised will go to Retina UK. So I've got biography pictures, which are pictures that have been burnt onto wood. I've got bowls that I've turned on a wood turning lathe, and I've got some of the metal dragons that I weld together. They're going to be on there as well. So that's all going to be on there, and that's on the 20th of September in London, if anyone can make it along there. Yeah, back to you, Mark.
Yeah, no, thank you very much. And yeah, so the Talking Creative Arts Peer Support Group is going live, and we are hoping to inspire many of our community to get hands-on and creative, because it would be great at a next Retina UK event to have an exhibition for your creations. So if you love to paint, if you love to sculpture or pottery or do ceramics, or knitting, you know, crochet, carpentry, anything that you do that you would like to share with our community, maybe make some money, you know, shares, you know, donate towards Retina UK, get your projects out there, you know, for the world to see, then this is definitely something that we want to inspire, and that's why we created this peer support group, to bring this community together. So once again, Vinicius, thank you so much for such an inspirational talk, and we really do appreciate that you're doing it while you're on your holidays. It's very much appreciated. And very inspiring. But if there's anything, does anybody, before we depart, it's coming up to 8 o'clock, has anyone got any final questions for either myself or Steve or Vinicius before we all say goodbye? We're good. No, we're all good. Well, thank you again, everybody, for joining us for our Talking Peer Support Group meeting. We will be in touch with the follow-up email, and also when the next Creative Arts Peer Support Group will be going live. It will probably be October time, as Steve mentioned. Please come and join us for our annual conference. We've got a great array of speakers, exhibitors, technology, including navigational and wayfinding tech, So please come and join us. It is also going to be in London at the Holiday Inn in Regent's Park, starting from 10 a.m. till 4:30 on the Saturday, the 20th. Full details is available on our website. And please do stay tuned to our website, especially our events page, because we will be shortly after that doing the Talking Tech peer support group, where we have the tech giant Envision talking about a new pair of glasses that they are collaborating with called the Ally Solos. They're going to give a rundown of those brand new smart glasses. So please come and join us for that. And also check out our website for other local peer support groups and online groups that are happening over September and October. So thank you again, Vinicius. Thanks for everyone for joining us. Steve, would you like to say some final goodbyes?
Well, yeah. Thanks everybody for coming to this peer group, and I hope it's inspired everybody to have a try at something. Hopefully, maybe we can get a little group of us together to take Vinicius up on his taster sessions, mate, or something like that. Perhaps we can organise something like that.
Yeah,
Be something worth looking into. If anyone does is interested in doing something like that, then please do email me at services@retinauk.org.uk, or you can call the helpline on 0300 111 4000, or just reply to your auto response email with the joining link, and we'll get that as well. You know, if there's something that you want to do in person, we can see whether we can set that up. But thanks again, everybody. Thanks, Steve and Vinicius and everyone for joining us. We'll see you again very soon. Enjoy the rest of your evening and see you soon. Take care.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good to hear about
Good
it.
holiday.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Enjoy the rest of your holiday.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. See you later, Steve.
Yeah.
Take care. We hope you've enjoyed this Retina UK peer group recording. If you have any questions or queries regarding its content, or you would like to leave us some feedback, then please do get in touch. You can contact us via our helpline on 0300 111 4000, call the office team on 01280 821 334, or alternatively, you can contact us via email at services@retinauk.org.uk. If you are interested in creating your own peer support group and assisting Retina UK to grow our peer support group network and join our amazing team of volunteers, then please do get in touch by contacting us at info@retinauk.org.uk and speak to a member of staff to see how you can get involved. Thanks again for listening, and please stay tuned for more peer support group recordings coming throughout this year. Take care and all the best. Bye for now.